Live from New York and Seattle, it's Hangout Conversations with Matt Rappaport. And here we go. Dum 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 dum. Oh, hey, that was me singing. Welcome to Hangout Conversations, Matt Rappaport. We're still looking for some theme music, as you can tell. Lucas Johnson is working on some dubsteppy stuff. Is that the way to say it? Dubsteppy. And we're looking for some stuff. If you got anything cool you want to do, there's a YouTube video I made with Peter McDermott with Rappa samplings, and that would be really cool if you can take that and use that, or create your own very unique situation, your own unique whatever you want to call it, art, I should say. Thanks for joining us on a special Wednesday edition. I know you can be doing lots of things. We're excited to have you here. We have a double whammy of a show. We have Chris Pirillo tonight. Very excited to have him with us, joining us. And tomorrow we have Mohammed Mansour, even though I like to say Mansour because it's funnier. Bobbi Joe, how are you? Bobbi Joe's woods is with me as well. I can't say her name because she's got a lot of woods in it. I'm good, man. I'm very good.
Thank you.
You got it. So we've been doing the show for quite some time now, and it's awesome to have so many different people join us each week and watch us on YouTube and around the world. Hangouts on Air have been pretty cool. I can't wait to see what they have next for us. A lot of new features I think are on their way, and I can't wait to ask Chris about it. So many questions, and I want to get to Chris pretty soon. I don't think there's been too many Google Plus updates. I know there's been updates, 20 updates a week, BJ, right? Is there anything off the top of your head that came out that was brand new? I know that they did the circles last week, the new circles, and
yeah, I think
the block feature, the block and remove, I think might be new.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and let you answer.
Oh, no, you answer. Go ahead.
I think the only thing that I was really intrigued by was there's this thing called the Awesome Bar, and I'm going to give a shout out. It's not something Google did. It's a layout extension. Changes the layout, puts your chat in the right side, puts your search bar into a more compact area, and gives you just a gray bar without the gray and the black, so it's not double the size.
Yeah.
And that's something that Matthew, the heck is his name?
Lusky?
No, it's not Lusky. Matthew Lerner, I think, is the one who made it. But I can put a link in the comments, too, if anybody's interested. It's
cool.
Pretty new. It's just a few days old. But as far as new Google features go, I guess, I honestly haven't tried any of them out. So if there's any new ones.
Yeah, I don't think there has been.
Not in the last week, no. Just 2 weeks ago we had the new circles. We had the new, the tab management and all that stuff. So I just learned something tonight, which is the finding a photo post. Like instead of just, going through your albums and you're like, okay, I see this photo, but where's the post I shared it to? And for some reason, it was never clear to me until tonight how to do that. It only goes back to like 250. So
right.
I was kind of going back and forth with a bunch of Google Photo experts, users, and also Brian Rose. So thank you very much for that, guys.
No, Brian Rose is an expert. Okay.
Yes, he is. I said experts and users.
And users, cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a ton of photos. Yeah, the H.I.R.L. Hangout in Real Life. I don't want to stop living the H.I.R.L. Living the dream forever and ever. The
yeah, I still have pictures.
Been pretty good. Yeah, you have pictures to post. I posted about 17 albums. People that weren't there are probably thinking, dude, Rappaport just keeps posting, because that's what they call me. They don't call me Matthew. What? Keeps posting New York City H.I.R.L. pictures, and I just took like 1,500 or thousands, maybe more than that, 1,100. I keep going backwards. So, and we had a mini New York City H.I.R.L. this weekend. It was a pleasure to meet Google India's Nita Talani. That was a lot of fun. And I met Jason Joseph, who's a photographer from Staten Island. And I also met Jeff Wood, who took a 25 or 20-hour train ride from North Carolina to be with us, so shout out to them. We saw Rebecca Pearl live in concert, who's a Hangout artist or musician. We also saw Devin Rush, who were shouting from the stage, the front row. It was a small little New York City club. We were like, Google Plus! She's saying Facebook and Twitter, and she's like, huh? What is that? And we're like, you can do a Hangout in the concert. And she's like, oh, can I now? And so now she wants to do one on Friday. And so I don't know if I'll be doing that or if someone else will be. But see, it's that simple. I mean, you have Daria Musk, who I've met. We've all met. Everyone in this room has met. And, Heather Pay and Ryan Van Sickle, lots of musicians. So I'm looking forward to all the artists, the techies, the artists living in a world of harmony all togetherness. So that should be exciting as more and more people discover Google Plus and Hangouts. But let's get to our guest. We made him wait about 25 years, and he is, many things. He has a long, I printed out his profile. There is his picture, and he's got, I know my blurry, for some reason the C910 gets blurry, I don't know why, on Hangout, but he's printed out all this stuff about him being a geek, an entrepreneur, and he's been a lot of things, and I think he's a good guy. I like that he's a funny guy and that he doesn't take himself too seriously, and I bet he's sleeping right now. I bet he's having a nice dream about Legoland. Chris, are you there? Chris Pirillo? Wait, come in, Chris Pirillo. Oh my God! Earthquake! There's an earthquake in Seattle!
I had the weirdest dream.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. Was it good?
Oh, yeah, that was bizarre, dude.
Did you get Star Wars or Legoed or?
No.
Did you get any hair on the mail?
I don't think I can talk. What are you holding in that bag, dude?
So I didn't talk about this yet, but there's a man named Byron Rempel, and he shaved his beard on my show, and I jokingly said, "You should probably send it to me." And guess what? He sent it to me.
You know what that looks like from here? And I'm saying.
Yeah, it looks bad. I know.
It looks very illegal.
It's not.
And I don't know if that's covered in the terms of service. Really?
He sent me something along. Yeah. In terms of service, yeah, I actually
you're not,
like
by the
the
way,
envelope.
If that was a desperate ploy to get my hair, you're not. No,
no, I'm good. But this guy Byron had a beard that was like Hasidic. It was just out. It was just kept going for days.
I think it had its own account, if I'm not mistaken.
It did. It was like JLo's butt, pretty much.
Like that. Yeah.
So how are you, my friend? If I can call you that, without being
sure.
John McCain.
Did you just call me John McCain?
No, he always called everyone his friend. My friend. No, anyway.
I guess I didn't follow him that closely.
Yeah.
Sure, you can call me John McCain if you want.
You have more hair than him, so.
Yes.
Welcome to Hangout Conversations. See, you're in your what do you call it? Your Lockergnome cave, cavern, tavern?
No, we actually brought this up today during the live cast that just happened before this. I don't know. It's not really a man cave. It's just my home office. Nothing fancy.
Yeah, it's like I know you're originally from Iowa, and I always think of David Letterman like, the home office in Sioux City, Iowa. So kind of something
I think had that. I seem to remember that came about because of a writer's strike years ago, and I guess he stuck with it.
Yeah, I've been to Sioux City, by the way. Lovely town.
I think I've been there once.
It's really small.
Once.
Very small. One time. Where in Iowa are you originally from? I mean, I have your dossier here, but I threw it away.
Central Iowa, Des Moines area.
And so you grew up there, and you were exposed to not a lot of things, or I mean,
yeah, not a lot of things. That's
not a lot.
That's Iowa's slogan. Not a lot of things.
It's no longer God's country. It's
on
just
the license plate, really, it says not a lot of things.
Do you miss it? So you missed that area, huh? With the corn and the not a lot of things.
I think the only thing I would miss is possibly the cost of living.
Yeah.
But it's a small price to pay. Once you get it. Iowa's a great place to grow up, possibly to raise a family. Although I would argue you're just as wise to raise a family where there are more than just white people around.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's not a lot of color in Iowa. There is, but I think the culture is still very monocultural in Iowa, in the heartland. I'm sure throughout the rest of the Midwest as well, and there are certainly exceptions. But the differences between cultures seems to be a bit more dramatic than you might find on either of the coasts, I should say, at least for America. Whether you're talking the East Coast or West Coast, where I happen to be at this point in time. It would be very difficult for me to move back, if only because the way I think my mind works, it jives more with what's happening on the West Coast than in the Midwest. Yeah, so it's a cultural difference, really. Even having grown up in that area, I do feel genuinely bad for people who grow up in that area.
Oh, really? I mean, a lot of people grew up in the Midwest, though, and they moved to Ashton Kutcher.
Right. They moved for a reason.
Right.
You know, I think there's nothing wrong with growing up in the Midwest, but it's just the prospects are extremely limited. Even today, when you've got almost equal access to the internet as a separate country, if you consider it a separate country, it doesn't really matter where you're from as long as you're online. Well, even visiting Iowa now, having gone there a few months ago for the Iowa State Fair, my girlfriend Diana wanted to go, and we had fun. They're lucky to have a 5 megabit connection from their cable company. And right now I'm on a Comcast business class, 110 down, 10 up, and I want more. I mean, you want to talk about a step backwards, dude. That's like going back in time. Like, well, you need to communicate. It's faster to pick up the phone and talk to someone than it is to email them in Iowa. And it's a culture. You cannot fight culture. That's the one thing you can't fight.
It's weird, too. It's just not a lot of people in Iowa, so I guess they feel like...
Well, there are a lot of people. It's just that they're not... It's a different type of people.
Different type of people, yeah. But they're usually nice and friendly.
But I meet just as many nice people out here in the Seattle area as I might have in Iowa. It's just it's different.
It's not as diverse.
Yeah, I think it may be diverse, but it's diverse in a different way. It's diverse in a way like we're these people, those are those people, and there the tween shall meet. And versus out here in Seattle, it's more, hey, we live in Seattle, and that's it. So it's not.
Well, there's also rain and coffee and all that jazz. And
right.
Music.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But it's just not. It's different. It's not as. I would say it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess in your face is probably the best way to put it. It's there are people with a wide variety of backgrounds living everywhere, but it's not as pronounced, I guess, to me in Seattle as much as it was in Iowa.
I see you're rocking chair. You've gone through tons of chairs over the years, and people. No, not really.
I went through one other chair, and then I got this one. This has lasted me 12 years.
12 years, wow.
About, I don't know, 10, 12 years. It's a pretty old chair, and it's still rocking.
Still does the job.
Yeah.
Cool. What? So how many? I mean, you have a lot of different camera angles, right? This is what when you you have a bunch of computers, bunch of angles, or?
No, this is not
really.
Really. I usually have a primary. I have one camera that I use for the live YouTube feed, and then another one that I've got for the live Ustream feed, and I've just got a webcam mounted here on one of the monitors for when I'm doing Hangouts or Skypes or whatever it happens to be.
You still Skype pretty regularly then? You're still big into it?
Depends. I don't keep it open all the time. I actually don't. I'm not a huge fan of Skype. But it just
you don't like
right. No, I turn off sounds immediately, but I don't want to be interrupted unless I've scheduled a call. I'm not going to do it. There's too much I've got going on. Yeah. I hate people who call just because they can. I'm like, dude, we'll set up a time. We'll do it.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of people said to me early on. I kind of knew a little bit, but a lot of people were saying, oh yeah, Chris is my friend. I know Chris. I can talk to Chris, and we talk all the time. So you got your box line going on. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, I'll get that set up for you.
Well, I'll reply to people, but I mean, I can't get to everything. I can't get to everybody.
Yeah.
Skype is not the vector. In fact, if you annoy me sometimes on IM, I block you. I'm like, I got a problem. I'm like, sorry, dude, I got other stuff I got to do.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. It's interesting, like what people. I mean, now that you've been on the internet for a long time, and now there's a sense of internet celebrity or whatever term people use.
I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand.
People will come into a Hangout now and they'll say to me, "Oh, you're famous." I'm like, I don't even know. I don't feel famous. I mean, I'm not, and I haven't been doing it as long as you have.
It's a cult of personality, and fame is relative. You can attain notoriety in one way or another, but ultimately, if you're not happy with what you do, what does it matter that other people are happy with what you do?
Right. No, you make a good point. You have to be happy and enjoy what you do. I love doing the show. I love engaging. I think the hardest thing for anyone is how do you do it full time and be able to pay the bills, and that's probably the biggest the hardest thing that anyone out there is like. That's the $1 million question, literally. To make something successful. And I'm sure you get asked that like nonstop off the hook.
Oh yeah,
like, that's like the top 5, right?
No, that's certainly, and that's one of the reasons why I finally set up a service where people could ask those questions and I can give them a qualified answer.
Yeah.
Like, I've given away a lot of advice, so, one of the reasons...
Yeah, you don't have to give it away now, yeah.
No. I mean, there's no right... I mean, I can give you the general answer, and that is just do it and be happy with what you do. But, a lot of people are looking for those qualified business connections and specific advice. That's where I set up service that instead of just paying me for that kind of coaching, like on an hourly basis, just pay me on an annual basis and get the same access. In fact, my annual rate is lower than a lot of people's hourly rate, which is kind of
I just saw it was under $100. I didn't give the exact, if that's okay to say. I just said it.
$97 is my annual rate.
Why 97? Does that number have any special meaning in your life, or?
Yeah, it's under 100.
Okay, that's good. That's cool. I do open. Oh, go ahead.
I always like the number 7.
Number 7, lucky number 7, lucky number 11. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, +1, +2, +3. Random question for you to pick. This is a graph. I'm not an artist in that way, so.
Really, I couldn't tell. Let's +1 it. Let's
+1 it. Strangest. Speaking of tech questions, strangest or weirdest tech question you've ever been asked, like that comes to mind. Just the most bizarre, weirdest kind of question. Is there anything that comes off the last day or week or ever?
I've had a lot of really bad questions asked, but
bad, not weird.
Weird. I mean, I've had some really oddball questions, but I in terms of the oddest one, I dismiss it because half the time people ask questions and they're asking questions that are just impractical and impossible to answer. Well, my favorite, worst question ever is Mac versus Windows. I'm like, huh? That doesn't even make any sense. One's a computer, the other's an operating system.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
And then you go one level deeper. I'm like, look, dude, what's good for you is not going to be good for everybody. There is no end-all, be-all. There is no number one in a race that never ends. And I hate answering questions that, are so open-ended. You may be asking for my opinion. And,
it's preference. That's what it is.
Well, it's what tool does, well with the task at hand. And, best is always relative. And that's the one thing that I've been trying to hammer home to just a lot of kids, quite honestly, who are just, and even some adults who just don't quite grasp the idea that this is what's good for one person is not good for everybody. And this is the whole political discussion. Why? Oh no, so and so needs to be leading the country. No, so and so needs to be leaving the country. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a perfect scenario.
Right.
In technology, politics, whatever you happen to be talking about. So, finding. I find that I'm more frustrated with questions that do not lend themselves to a cogent response, and being someone who answers questions on a daily basis, it gets so tiring that I ignore half those questions. I can't even.
Well, there are a lot of bad questions, and people, it's amazing to me. I've been on the space or whatever. I don't know what you refer to stuff as. People say space, platform, whatever. But people ask these questions like, how do I do basic things, or how do I do? I don't know. I've been asked some. People get on Google Plus and they want you to kind of like take them through it. You personally be their tour guide. Some people have been like that with me, and it's been interesting. Who does and who doesn't. And being appreciative of people's time, and I know that a lot of people come at you for time, and I hear an echo. I don't know why.
It could be me. I don't know. Well, and I have no problem doing that if it can benefit the greater part of the community or certainly align with our goals. But for instance, I got an email here from a guy named Christopher, and he's talking about getting noticed, and I don't know if he's. Let me before I. Lambasted.
He might be on Plus.
Right. Yeah, he's not really, that I know of, I'm not seeing anything that would indicate that he's subscribed to the Nome's service. But he's asking me, would you be willing to help me get some notice for what I'm doing? I'd be grateful. I'm like, dude, I'll do that if I believe it's, something worth talking about, certainly, but there's only so much time I have in the day, and there's only so much attention I might have with people. So, I can't, if I featured everything that everybody wanted me to feature, my God, you think I flood people now, it'd be even worse. So I have to figure out how to accommodate people's wishes, like, Chris, I wish you would promote this that I'm doing. I wish you'd promote that I'm doing. So this is where I had to take a step back. I'm like, look, if you want my time, I'll give it to you. Here's how you can get it. And, some people just don't want to pay for that. And I'm like, okay, fine, then don't pay for it. No one's got a gun to your head. But don't expect that I'm going to do everything for free. And I think there's a feeling of rampant entitlement that's thrown about in social media. Well, I can get it for free, therefore it's worth free. No, it's worth free to you. That doesn't mean that I have to fall by those rules. If you want to be a communist, I don't care. Be a social media communist. I believe that what I've done to this point for free has benefited many people to
I think it has.
Different levels of value, but if they're asking for more time that could benefit them directly, the onus is on me to figure out how to accommodate those requests. So that's why I set up a service that people could buy into to kind of, and it's worked out, I would say, very well. It's exceeded my expectations in every way. The small business owners that are coming to me now, I'm just enthralled. I'm like, this is amazing, because the advice that I have in building my business for 15 years can benefit other small business owners who are just trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B. And the advice that I give, even if it only takes me 5 minutes to do, can save them thousands of dollars. So charging $100 a year
and time too. Yeah.
So but in trying to accommodate that, my next step is for the people who want promotions. Okay, so how do I leverage my existing reach and allow these people to promote? So now I've got to create a completely different level of a service for people who want those types of promotions. So that's kind of the next step of where I'm going with that. But I guess the bottom line is I wasn't expecting to have 100 people pop in in a month's time, and we ended up having about 300 some odd people within a month's time, which is just astounding to me. It blows me away.
That's awesome what you're doing with Lockergnome and what you've been doing with Lockergnome. So what was the essential story behind going to get Lockergnome up and running and to go from
Lockergnome only came about because I was sharing information anyway, and I was looking for a way to really, before even knowing it was going to be a business, figuring out how to generate revenue from free content, and figuring this out in 1996 was a hurdle. But it was a hurdle that was worth overcoming. So for people who look and think that, oh, you only got started when you were at Tech TV, that's not true. It was only because of the things that I was doing before that network even existed that led me to the opportunity of being able to do something on traditional television airwaves. Or even, what happened to Tech TV? I have no idea. But bad decisions is the bottom line. But the nice thing is, we're doing Tech TV. We're reliving it every day. Whether you're talking about the amazing content coming out of Rev 3 or from Twit, certainly, or even my very, in comparison, very small efforts, that I've been pushing forward, whether it's through Lockergnome or just my own personal presence online. Yeah, YouTube and crossing over into Lockergnome. So it started because I was just sharing information anyway, and I figured, hey, I could probably make some money, and indeed I could, and I did.
Mm-hmm. What would you say? So talking on that same subject, as far as a lot of people have this idea of YouTube and making videos or making broadcasts and monetizing in that way, and it's very hard. And obviously, there's plenty of people out there that there's a group of people that are the YouTube guys or whatever, but. And they're trying to change YouTube now with the monetizing, letting everyone monetize.
They're doing it wrong, dude. They're doing it wrong.
Yeah, tell us why.
God, the problem is there are multiple levels of these problems here, but what made YouTube work was it was very raw, it was very direct, and it wasn't. You could produce something enough, but when it became too produced, it was contrived. And this is the reason why I think a lot of people have eschewed a lot of traditional television broadcasts. We have reality television that kind of, you know, something valuable. I mean, you know, Lord knows some people are absolutely addicted to that stuff. But, you know, reality television YouTube is it. I mean, it doesn't get any more raw than that. The problem is there are so many people doing it that rising up above that, the din, is a challenge in and of itself. And a lot of people, sad to say, are just not cut out to be on camera. They're just not. I mean, at all. Like, just stop. Just don't, please. It's not. Just try another career path or practice a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, I know within 10 seconds time whether I'm going to remain for the next minute or not. And I tend to wax pathetic, you know, on any one of the video recordings that I might do. But in my mind, I'm trying to make it as, you know, enjoyable for someone to watch as much as it was to be able to record. And just because you can do video doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Even if you've got a great idea doesn't mean that you're going to execute on it properly. I mean, that's a maxim that I think applies to anything. In video, I think is just important, or just as important to use as a tool, but it takes a lot more behind the scenes to make a video work than it does to actually shoot the video. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which camera you use, so long as you're using some kind of camera.
That
the
works.
audio is decent.
Yeah, audio is big.
It's really it comes back to having a cult of personality, you know, and you'll find a lot of the leading YouTubers have, you know, an amazing personality that translates well in video. That's kind of what it boils down to. You've got a story, you've got a personality, you've got an idea, you've got information, you've got some value, and you know, beyond that,
it's the way it's presented, right? It's the way you present everything. I think that's key, no? The way things...
To a certain degree, sometimes the information is bigger than the personality presenting the information, but I think the two are very are intertwined.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no. You could take a YouTube class and never do any better than you did before. I mean, there's certain.
Are there actually YouTube classes that you could take? Like, is this real? Like, are you just saying it?
Dude,
yeah.
Come on.
There's got to be, right?
You can teach the nuances behind doing one thing or another. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You can take a blog class, a Twitter class, a Google Plus class, and it'll give you a leg up, or it should, but that's not going to spell success.
Depends on who's teaching it, yeah.
Right, well, but to a certain degree, I mean, I can give you nudges. I can say, well, do this instead of that, do that instead of this. You know, here, you know, I get asked to look at websites all the time, like, Chris, can you give me feedback on your website, or on my website? And, you know, I look at it as a way for other people to learn, too, so that's, you know, what I pushed into this other, you know, kind of service.
With
but
Lockergnome, yeah.
I can't, well, Gnomies, yeah.
Gnomies.
It's a subset of Lockergnome, so it's, don't feel bad about, you know, not understanding.
No, I get your Gnomies, yeah. I know you want to talk about Gnomies.
No, I don't need it necessarily. Actually, they do more talking about it than I do. I think the crux of it, though, is you ultimately have to do the work. You can be shown, you know, the step-by-step guidelines behind doing something and accomplishing a task, but ultimately you have to walk the walk, and that's where a lot of people will fall short. Even if you were in lockstep with the directions, does not mean you're going to see success as you want to see success. Because success, much like value, is relative. And what's successful to me is not necessarily successful to somebody else. And that's fine. We all have different things that we want out of life. And I think, you know, more than anything, you know, people are seeing YouTube as an opportunity for them to quit their job and go and do their own thing. But it's just not, it's possible, but it's not practical.
Time-consuming. It's time-consuming, and
that's the thing, is it takes so much time. And most people don't understand that. They're not willing to put in the time. Everyone wants a shortcut. I'm like, sorry, this isn't a microwave. You can't just expect that, you know, it's just going to be fixed in 5 minutes. It takes time.
Yeah, a lot of people are watching us live. Just say hi to Bruce Gabb is out there, Brian McDonald, Lucas Johnson, Aaron Wood is freaking out. I don't know if you know any of these guys. Maybe you know some of them. And Tim Clary, who's an artist. He's a really cool guy, and I get to hang out in real life with him. So, yeah, every week we get people watching and interacting, and these are usually people that I already met at a Hangout or met at a stream. Occasionally someone new saying, oh, what's Hangouts on air, and why do you have it, and stuff like that. That happens too. But it's cool to interact. And Monica as well. Yeah, she's great. She's got her Legos out to watch with you.
We're going to bust out the Lego, aren't we?
Busting out the Legos.
You know, I started to do, I've been doing the Google Plus Hangouts every week with the subscribers. And I've been trying, every time I want to put some Lego together and end up getting so caught up in the conversation that I never do it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm gonna make you get up and get them.
Not since the Death Star have I opened a box and not completed it in a sitting.
It's funny how you say not since the Death Star. It almost sounds like Death Star is like a time in our history. Like, remember that Death Star period?
That was a time suck, but it was a good build. It was a really good build.
Which Death Star was it? Was it the first or the second?
No. It would have been in the first. Although they have elements from Episode 6 in the Death Star that I built. The big one that everyone wants with all the minifigs.
Cool. Yeah. And do you think that Kevin Smith, the whole construction, in Clerks, been talking about like the constructors that died on the Death Star? You know what I'm talking about, or not really? That whole conversation. It's funny.
I mean, it's kind of like looking at, I never would have thought of that before.
Right, and then George Lucas like answered it, like the special edition features or something. Like, oh, that's not awesome. Yeah, I think there's like a special. He's like, they put it on the special features. Like, here are things about Star Wars that are on the Blu-ray that everyone seems to.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was just kind of cool. So you're a big fan of Legos. You're a big fan of Star Wars, Box One. Yeah. Was it Darth Vader behind you, right? Hanging out or no?
I got tons of Darth Vader stuff around me. Tons.
Yeah, tons of stuff. I know you have like a video game back there in the corner.
A main machine, so it plays all sorts of ROMs.
Nice, that's cool. So I talked about Hangouts in real life. You actually met Daria Musk. You had some sushi.
She owes me a song.
She owes you a song.
She gets all big and famous, and suddenly she meets little people who bought her dinner.
I know, right? I mean, geez. We had a concert in New York with her, our first biggest concert and live show, and good time. But she's doing her music video right now. She's in California.
With Chris?
Yeah, Chris Robinson. So, do you know Chris? I don't, or just heard of him?
He circled me, but I don't know if he circled me because
you're Chris Pirillo.
He has no. Let me put it this way: I'd be shocked if he knew that I was even. We were doing this right now. I'd be like, "Oh, really? You were paying attention? Cool." Yeah. Well, there's so much that happens on a daily basis anywhere, whether we're talking Google+, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So it's impossible to track everything that everybody does. But certainly you do, recognize that, when some big things happen, and, Daria working with Chris, I think is just, there's an amazing story in the making there.
Yeah, it's amazing how everything came together, how Daria jumped on and was one of the first to use Hangouts as a Hangout concert and was doing Hangout party and some other stuff. Yeah.
I saw similar things when Ustream launched, and with all disclosure on the table, I sit on Ustream's advisory board, but I still use Google Plus Hangouts, and I still broadcast them, and I broadcast on YouTube every day. I'm like, look, dude, I got to use the tool. I'm a publisher. I got to use the tools at my disposal to get stuff done. I don't care where they come from.
Yeah. Hey, so what is the big difference between Hangouts on Air and YouTube Live? They are different.
Probably reach.
Reach.
Yeah. I've got 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Not that everyone pays attention to me, right. But not a lot of people are using Google Plus yet. I mean, they have an account, but they haven't quite made that connection between the value of their account and who they circle and everywhere else in their life. Google Plus is currently not addressing a problem that it wasn't already being addressed, and this is where I think Google Plus is they're trying and they're making good changes, but ultimately Google Plus is more like Blogger than it is Facebook.
Yeah.
And we already have blogging tools, so why do we need Google Plus? And that it's yet to be answered. That really.
And the Hangouts aren't enough, right?
No, Hangouts aren't. I mean, it's a cute little feature, and it's nice, but. I mean, I did some public hangouts like in the beginning, then I realized, dude, I don't want to know half these people even virtually. Like I don't know. I ended up joining. Louis Gray had a hangout a few weeks ago, and I ended up meeting. I think it was Jay Zalowitz.
Yeah, no, Jay. I hung out with him real life.
He's New York. You want to talk about an amazing thing that happened during a hangout? I met him, and he's been a great. I would call him a Sherpa of sorts. He's given me some great advice. And I'm very grateful for that. And it was because we both joined Lewis's hangout. So we were going back and forth during the hangout after Lewis left. He went to bed, and all these other random people started joining, and I'm like, these people are really creepy. Like this one guy was like talking about how he was divorced, and then he was just going off and being like very misogynistic, and I was just like, I'm thinking it's wow, you're divorced? How did that happen? Like,
yeah, hangouts become like therapy for people. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm
want
not
to
gonna.
talk.
Yeah, I'm done with the whole public Google Plus Hangout for an extended period of time. Every once in a while, I see someone's hanging out. You've seen it. I'll pop in like, hey, I just saw that you guys are hanging out.
Or the little ringer comes on and you have to sing along with it.
Sometimes I have time, but.
And Daria was very excited about that when you sang along with the ringer. She thought it was cute.
It made sense to me, but.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Hangouts are nice, but ultimately, and I even mentioned this to a couple of people at Google, whether they have the ability to see it through. For publishers, and I do consider myself a content publisher. That's part of what I do. There's no monetization strategy in Google Plus at all, and unless they answer that question, because you can monetize YouTube, you can monetize Blogger, you can monetize other things that you might do on Google's network. To me, the writing is on the wall that it's going to happen with Google Plus. You can't do that on Facebook. You can kind of do it on Twitter. You definitely can in your own space. So I don't know why they expect people who want to share their thoughts and normally get paid for the thoughts that they share to do it on Google Plus over everywhere else unless they have an answer to that question, and they've yet to address it.
And so do you think that what there is, if we do see ads on Google Plus, I mean, do you think that's really what it would be? Or do you think that would...
I think it would bring a lot more people in, especially if they did it the right way.
Yeah.
They've been shown to do it the wrong way, too. 99% of the, I would say, crap comments I get on Google Plus have a Blogspot URL in them because they make it easy. Anybody can put up a Blogspot URL and be good. Well, I think it should be I think for Google Plus monetization to work, people would need to be whitelisted, and without that, I think you diminish the value of what Google Plus is over Blogger, over YouTube, over any of these other components in Google's universe that they're allowing people to AdSense. Being their primary channel.
So you think it would bring more people in? You don't think that it would scare more people off? You don't think?
No.
You don't think like the Facebook effect that Facebook took so all those years before they put ads on there?
Oh, come on, dude! Everyone whines, Facebook,
I'm not whining.
GoDaddy, and then
they still use it. I mean, everyone says they close their Facebook.
People whine all the time, and you know what? You know what that accomplishes? Nothing. That's what it accomplishes. Other than people feel like I'm getting it off my chest, they think their opinion is worth something, or that other people are going to play with them and do the Pied Piper and go out of the city. But it just doesn't happen that way. People complain, and then people forget about it. People are still on Facebook.
People complain.
They haven't, dude. Facebook could expose every ex-girlfriend you have, and people would still use Facebook.
They would. They will. They are.
Doing anything wrong. And I'm not saying that I don't agree with Facebook's policies. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that people are averse to change, even if that change is better for them. So you almost have to ignore the idiots, largely people in the tech industry, idiots who claim that something's going to fail or they're doing something wrong.
The same ones that said that Google Plus is bad, right?
Hang on. I lost a lot of respect for people when, specifically my what you consider colleagues or people who share information or their perspective on technology, because a lot of them are idiots. They're idiots. And these are the same people who said, oh, the iPad's going to be a failure. What? Oh, no, the iPhone 5, it's going to fail and no one's going to buy it.
You're right.
What? A lot of the people that others look up to should not be looked up to because, unfortunately, they get it wrong. You know, it's one thing to, but to expect, and that's what people do, but to expect that that's going to somehow change culture, people have an overinflated sense of ego.
So I just wanted to pat my chest.
That was someone who gets accused of having an overinflated sense of
ego. And I
ego.
don't think you do. I think you're a guy. You interact, and I think that, everyone has the right to say, you know what, you're an idiot, but people, it doesn't mean you say that all the time.
I've definitely called the ball on a few people, and I lose respect for people who spread rumors, and I lose respect for people who can't back up their assertions or try to make the world fit, their view without looking at the greater picture. I had this problem way back when I came out and said, Windows Vista ain't ready, guys. It's not ready. And I was right. I said the same thing about Windows Millennium Edition. But yet, people lambasted me. Oh, Chris, you're a horrible person because you don't know what you're talking about. Really? Really?
Because you're horrible?
I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, I guess Vista sold amazingly well and will go down in history as one of the best Windows operating systems ever.
I'm still using it, but yeah, not because I want to. But yeah.
Okay, now, come on, dude. Come on. 7. If you've got Vista, you can handle 7.
No, I totally can handle 7. My wallet can't handle anything.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Well, that's a different problem.
Yeah, it's a different. That's another problem. But
I can't help you there.
Yeah. No, I'm working on that. But yeah, we got a couple of questions in the audience before I get more into what you were going. Let's go with Lucas Johnson, good cool guy, Canadian that moved to California, which was kind of cool. What do you think the most important part of having a presence outside of a social network, like having your own .com?
I think it's very important, if only because you can control what that is. I've struggled over the years. When I set up Lockergnome, it was largely Chris Pirillo and what he thought. Then Lockergnome evolved to not just Chris Pirillo, but other people and what they thought. And then I set up chris.pirillo.com as a personal blog, and that evolved into more of the same kind of content that we were publishing on Lockergnome.com. So there was kind of a bifurcation of audience, even though it was the same audience. And now it's kind of come full circle. Lockergnome's still doing what it does, and my own personal effort is to elevate the things that are happening on Lockergnome. But at least I know at the end of the day I own those domains. So should Google disappear, at least I know those are assets that I have in my hand, and that's very important. I would never.
Is there? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
No, I was gonna say, is there a social media platform that if you didn't have a website that you feel is your central, or you can't really say?
No.
Like, would you say?
They're all different. They all benefits and drawbacks. There's certain reasons you'd want to use Tumblr, and there's certain reasons you wouldn't want to use Tumblr. Certain reasons you'd use Google+, certain reasons you wouldn't. I mean, the value of doing something on Tumblr is that people can easily reshare the content that you're creating if it's interesting. But the problem is you can't easily monetize it if you're someone who's trying to monetize content. The value of Google+ is that you can become a part of people's organic search results with the content that you are putting out there into, you're injecting into your own feed. And that, I think, Google's just begun to kind of tap into that, and they need to continue to go down that path. But that's where Google+ has it over every other network. The bigger challenge is really
getting people to use it.
Yeah, or to use it again. I mean, they may have signed up for it, but it's not solving a problem that they didn't realize they had.
Yeah, a lot of people think social networking, like, they don't need it. They have Facebook. Why do they need anything else? That's
right.
Basically, even if it's not a social network.
But as I said, if you ask the average person, do you have a blog, they'd say no.
Right.
Do you have Facebook? Yes. And Google+ is closer to Blogger than it is to Facebook. Period.
Right.
Period.
No. What kind of wine are you drinking besides boxed?
This is a Coppola Syrah. It's actually bottled, and it's a very fine wine.
You're drinking a bottled wine on my show? What? What are the
Sorry.
chances? I don't know whether I should be honored or not. Because every single time you're hanging out, it's boxed.
Hey,
not that we're boxed.
It's flannel day here.
It's plaid. We're plaiding it up.
It's faux flannel day. Plaid. If anybody joins this hangout,
I'm disappointed. I'm wearing a T-shirt.
No, you have to wear plaid.
Go find one in your closet.
Everyone must wear plaid.
We will. Yeah, Bobbi Jo said something funny when you were going your little rant, Google Plus Drama Club, which is funny to say.
You were talking about people whining on the internet, and I said call the Google Plus Drama Club. There's an actual page.
The what? What are they?
The Google Plus Drama Club.
Oh,
I'll put a link in here for you.
As soon as I smell drama, I walk away. I'm like, I'm not.
You're gonna love this page, Chris. I'll share it with you in a minute.
People get so touchy, and I'm like,
it's not worth it. Life is too short. Yeah.
Not in high school anymore. Never got it in high school. So
it's funny you're talking about that, because lately a couple people have been putting out posts about Google Plus being like high school. These long rants, long posts. There's a bunch of different people that have been doing it. I know, like Jason Joseph, Amy Gabriel, John Vanavins. A lot of people are putting out stuff saying like people are treating it like high school. And a lot of people will complain about almost anything at any time, and then like a minute later, like you said, they'll forget about it. So
yeah, exactly. They'll forget about it.
It's like no big deal.
That's hilarious.
Nice. The other thing, you're talking about techies, different techie people, and Bobbi Jo, he's laughing because there's a Google Plus Drama Club page that exists. Is it actually your page, Bobbi Jo, or are you?
No, I think it's somebody I know. I don't know. I don't know if they want to be outed, so I'm not gonna. I know who it is, and I would like to shout out, but I don't know if they want to be outed. So.
I'm sorry, I was just scrolling on that page.
That was enough.
And there's a photo of Oprah Winfrey with an R.I.P. Whitney Houston. I'm like,
I see it. I see it. And it's funny because that came up because you jumped into it and you were like talking a little bit about Whitney, and so now you're you're not laughing that she died, but just get people. I should share it. Well, if I share a screen, let screen share.
Well, the tragedy wasn't her death. Unfortunately, the tragedy was her life. And I wish people cared about her more when she was still with us, rather than when she was. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I need to say. All right, cool. So, and the other thing you said about high school, I know a big issue is a lot of people have an issue with the content. You said you're the content king, or a king of, or not.
I never said that.
You didn't say you said you post content. My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
I'm prolific, but I've never called
myself. You're not a king. You're not a king.
I'm more like a joker.
You're a nice guy. Really. A joker. But I guess my point, what I was going with it with content, is that a lot of people post stuff that they find on the internet that's not necessarily theirs, and there's a lot of arguing about should there be credit, and then should you credit the source? And
you know what? Okay. Here.
I want you to, the whole deal with Calcanis, and I don't know.
Okay, here's my problem. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of stuff that happens online, and to expect that anybody's going to track everything that happens anywhere is asinine. Second, let me relate to you stories. I'll meet people in real life for the first time or whatever, and they'll come up to, hey, Chrisma, I don't watch all your videos, and I think, well, why would I mean, it's nice that you would want to watch all my videos, but I would never expect anybody would watch all my videos. I would never expect that. So, I say, well, I'd be shocked if anybody watched it.
Yeah, you might be scared.
Unfortunately, there's so much that gets shared. The possibility of someone sharing something that somebody else had shared before is pretty high. What I try to do, and I don't do much of this anymore, and I used to more frequently. What annoys me is when people do not give proper attribution. They take an image and they copy it, but they don't say who made it originally. You owe it to yourself to find who created that and to give them credit either through a web link or to make sure it's mentioned in the image itself. But some people have gone through and cropped out the credits for comics. So I will go, and if I really want to share something, I will find the source and say, hey, here's the source. So I'm giving them credit. I think it's rude to, and I think actually Pinterest is running into this problem with legalities. People copy images and they're not theirs. A lot of people seem to be rising in terms of popularity for content that they did not create originally or provide the construct by which they're saying, here's the source, here's who created the content. So it's very rare that, first of all, I do not advise sharing images that you're not fully licensed to share. Second, it's very rare when I will share an image that I did not create, that I know someone else didn't create originally, that did not include some kind of attribution. Very, very rare. And I think that's the bigger problem. It's less about the attribution of the first person who shared it and more about the attribution for the person who created it. If you didn't create it, you don't deserve any credit. If you did create it, you deserve all the credit. And that's where it begins and ends. And there's no drama around that. You can't argue otherwise.
But you were talking about not tracking things down, though, right? Didn't you say that?
Yeah, I've tracked things down. I've gone through. Okay. I've got some really good. See, I'm trying to. I share too much probably on Google.
You do. You sure?
I like sharing quotes, especially if they're made in graphic form. I love comics. I used to share. In fact, I found some people who shared my old Bluff comics on Google+. It's fun to see again. There's one that I'm trying to find it. It was a comic that its attribution was clipped out, and that really frustrated me because it was a good comic. It was really funny, and I shared this I think just a couple weeks ago, and I didn't feel it was right for me to share this comic without giving attribution of the original source, like where I found it, where I ended up digging through and finding it online. A comic without attribution, I think is wrong to share. Honestly, I don't care who surfaced it. I don't care if they're popular or not popular. I think you need to give credit to the originator of the image.
I think all artwork. I think when you're talking about artwork and photography,
but it's not just artwork. If it's a comic, If it's something you did not create, if the person who created it isn't giving the credit, to me, that's tantamount to splogging. That's taking credit for somebody else's work.
Yeah.
And Google Plus hasn't addressed this because they haven't hit the point where they need to address it. They have more of a problem with people creating content than they do squishing the people who are resharing content that isn't really theirs. Ultimately, people have to be responsible for their own actions and give attribution to the originator of the work. Because you're playing with licensing schemes, and you may not even be able to share that work forward. But that could actually potentially, there may be stuff. I've shared some animated GIFs on my profile that, sorry, my dogs are going ape.
That's fine.
I've shared some animated GIFs on my profile that, could get me in trouble because I don't necessarily own the rights to reshare those GIFs. I thought they were hilarious. That could get me in trouble because Google's, said, hey, we're just giving you the ability to share it.
Yeah, it sounds like your dog is singing BJ sets. Singing just
like... Sounds like your dog is like, arf, 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 arf.
Wow. Well, okay, wait, you can't. No, stop. What are you trying to do? Kill me? No, she was singing something recognizable. I'm sorry, Anyway.
It was the Peanuts.
I know it was it was the Almonds. So I think that's the big thing is that people are saying, well, I don't want to go and track down image sources, but a lot of those same people that don't want to track down image sources want to get mad when somebody just copies the source that they didn't credit.
They have no grounds for an argument.
Right.
Look.
And they're like, why did you hit the reshare button?
It wasn't yours.
Right.
Shut up.
Right.
Period. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're big man on campus or little man on campus. It doesn't matter. If you did not create it, you've got no say in the matter. I don't care.
No, I hear you. And we'll stop talking about it. Yeah. And there are a lot of websites, and you can still find credit. There are a lot of websites.
There's a Google Plus extension that allows you to right-click on an image and search Google with this image. And it does a fair job at helping you narrow down the source. Doesn't do an awesome job, but it at least gives you an idea about where you can go to get that image or the source of the image, the link, the URL. And then if people copy that without attribution, I think it's rude is what it is. It's rude. It's taking credit for someone else's work, and it's not right. And it's one of the reasons why videos work very well because it's impossible to copy without giving credit. Although what some people will do is they'll copy the video to their own account. And tracking that stuff down is something YouTube's done a fair job at. But ultimately, if you didn't create the content, share it the way that the content was designed to be shared.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people will see content on people's pages and think there's no credit, there's nothing, and they'll think that you're the one that did it. And I'm guilty of posting something myself. I post a lot of stuff, and I might have found a picture and not known who the original source was, and I'm guilty of not necessarily.
But Matt, I have too. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to say holier than thou because I certainly have too. But I'm making a conscious effort now that if I see an image that someone else created this, sometimes I'll even ask the person that I'm seeing it from, who created this image or who created this, and ultimately give proper attribution. And sometimes they'll even go back and like, you're right, I need to go back and I need to change it. And they provide attribution for the source. And I think the more people that do that, it's leading by example. And we can't, sometimes there's some things that we just click. I'm like, that's hilarious, I have to share it. But very rarely will I do that unless I see an attribution or knowing that it's coming from one source or another.
And like you said,
always have attribution.
Right, like you were saying, Google doesn't have to worry or not worry about this problem, but it's Google. Like they can literally attach Google.com could literally, when you post the image onto your Plus, it could literally do its own search, and find the source. Or that wouldn't be that hard, would it?
Well, narrowing down the source of an image is
or they could give you options, or at least.
Well, yeah, they can. They can at least lead to a better qualified source based on like a date range or a time range. But I think the onus is on the person who's sharing that content. It took you no time to share that image. Spend an extra 5-10 minutes to find out who created it. If you liked it enough to share it, you owe it to the person who created it to give them attribution. And there's no argument here. So a lot of the people who are complaining about not having attribution didn't create the thing that they were sharing, and they didn't give credit to the person who created it.
Right. And I think a lot of people are annoyed too because there's a lot of like quote-unquote bigger people or people with a big follower account that do things like that, and they get
and I think it's wrong.
about that.
Yeah. I think it's wrong.
So, lead by example is Chris Pirillo, and I agree. You know, we're doing the best we can. And let's see, another question that we had from the audience.
But as I said,
go ahead.
That wasn't a holier than thou thing.
No, I know.
I've done it too. It's just kind of be aware of setting the stage so that you do have a position where you've got something that's defensible versus something that's indefensible. Complaining about something you have no right to complain about.
Right, and people complain about, like, I think they complain about everything, so, and they go after everyone for everything, so, and then forget about it. Steve Quinn in Vancouver wants to know, other than social media platforms, are there other types of technology that are about to come out that you're excited about? Maybe the iPad 3 or the iPhone 5?
Well, it's guaranteed that I'm going to get the next iPad and the next iPhone. It's just given. I'm really looking forward to the new Googles. The goggles, the Google goggle things. I just hope they allow me to get prescription eyewear because I will wear those things down.
In the street. Oh. You'll wear them in the street meetings.
Come on, dude. I've dreamed from the time that I was born. I've always dreamed of having a heads-up display of like pressing a button and seeing the time. Like, hallelujah. I would kill for something like that. I just hope they allow those Googles or whatever they're calling them to accommodate prescription eyewear because I wear glasses.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Thanks for the question, Steve Quinn. And you had someone from one of your Nomies. We got a shout-out from one of them. Was it Steve? No, hold on. Let me scroll down here. Stacy Farris.
Yeah, Stacy.
Stacy's in the thread saying hey. Let's do a quick G4 this or that. I basically made it like a little Sophie's Choice, so don't get mad. But you have to choose between the two of them. Lego or box... Lego or box one?
Don't. I would say do not say Mac versus Windows. We're not.
I'll say Lego versus box one. Can you choose between those two? No, you can't. I'm sorry.
I'd probably say Lego bricks. Lego
bricks. Okay, and we still gotta get. We have to hopefully get time to grab one. You have a short Lego set around. I don't know. This one, Scoble or Elgin?
Elgin.
Elgin. Okay. Any particular reason or? All right, you don't have to get into it. All right, Google Plus.
Let me put it this way. I've known each one of them for about as long as I have the other one. I appreciate Elgin's approach to things.
Cool, that works for me. Google Plus or Twitter, is that a tough one or not really?
You know, they're both good, you know, for different reasons. You know, Twitter drives a good amount of traffic compared to Google Plus. Google Plus drives no traffic, which is really sad right now, and I hope Google can figure out how to turn that stat on its ear. They're not doing a very good job at it so far, but you know, for a content producer, you know, I've got to raise awareness for the content we're creating, and right now. A lot of the velocity happens on Twitter, then Facebook, and then Empire Avenue, and then Google+.
Wow, Empire Avenue is in front of Google+?
Oh, yeah, easily. Largely because the missions I send out, we're going to be doing like a bonus for Nomies on Empire Avenue at some point in the near future, and then I'll be doing like an Empire Avenue webinar to help people along and show them.
Yeah, it's Bobbi. She'll be back.
That's okay. But yeah, Google Plus doesn't drive anything in terms of traffic right now.
Right now, and that could be also due to it being new, right? Or
no, it could be the fact that it's not really doing anything new. People just aren't. They sign up and then they like forget about it. Like,
and so, do you think part of that is that Google Plus is just too complicated for most people?
No, it's not complicated at all. It's so easy. You have to think about how not to use it. It's so easy.
But
it's not solving a problem. That's
is it easy enough for Grandma to use?
Yes.
Yeah.
If Grandma can use Facebook, Grandma can use Google+. The problem isn't that it's not simple. The problem is it's not solving a problem that needs solving.
Right. Everyone already has what they need. They don't need to. The idea that people would interact with strangers, they have Twitter for that, I guess, if they wanted, right? Is that the point?
And I think it is affinity-based connections that does set Google Plus apart from Facebook or possibly Twitter. the greater challenge is it's more like Blogger for content producers and consumers than it is like Facebook. That's just it, stem to stern.
Right, but would you say that you seem to really enjoy Google Plus, and you feel like the interaction here is a lot different than the other sites?
I do believe that. I'd rather crowdsource questions on Google Plus than Facebook. I think you get a better quality response on Google Plus today. I've seen people that they don't quite understand how this works. They said, Google Plus, everybody used to comment on everything. Now I hardly get any comments. Well, because there are more people and there are more things to pay attention to. So, people aren't going to be spending as much attention on things when there's no scarcity. And, it's the same reason, like, Chris, you do too much. I'm like, no, you just haven't circled enough people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get that all the time. People will uncircle you because you're too noisy or whatever.
I don't care. Not my problem. It's not my problem. Anybody who uncircles you and brags about it is an asshole.
I agree. There's no reason to call you out. I don't know why people. The idea of calling anybody out is, and I know you've had that a couple of posts like that where people are calling people out.
They'll say I'm uncircling you because blah blah blah. I don't care why you encircle me. Just do it and shut up.
Right. But the idea that people think they can change you and control what you do is
right.
Funny,
exactly.
Right?
And I think
like a girlfriend. What? No offense. I just lost all my female audience. That was kidding. But I didn't say that. You
can't change people. It's fine to take that up in private channels, but making it public is just it's ass. It's like you're an ass. To say I encircled you because of blah blah blah. I don't care what your emotional justification is. I really don't. In fact, I'll go when people threaten to do that. I block them. Like I don't care. If you don't want to listen to me, why the hell would I care about your opinion? Why?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. And nobody should.
Hold on, I just got word from Peter McDermott that our stream it's buffering. Hold on. I'm not sure what he's saying. All right, Peter. That seems to work for me, but anyway. The most important. Yeah, I don't know.
Troubleshoot this stuff is sometimes a challenge, but.
He says it works for 40 seconds, buffers for 3, and keeps cycling. All right. Yeah. Weird. Well, I am clicking on my face, and that takes time to zoom in, and then your face, but I'm not doing it that much, I don't think. Bobby Joe's on it. The most important last G4 question, most important question of all of them, Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith?
Come on, there's no comparison. It's Jedi.
Jedi's your favorite one, right?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, Jedi was a great movie for what it was. It wasn't amazing, in comparison to, in my mind, comparison to what it could have been, or Empire, or A New Hope. But just about, I would take, the prequels, to me, and I hate saying this, to me, like, mentally, I've stricken them from canon. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it, Highlander, which was it, Highlander 3? That was stricken from canon. One of them. It was so bad that the next one they did, they made it sound like the movie the prior movie was a dream. Like it was that bad. Yeah. So I'm half expecting that,
and then now they're in 3D. They saw the Lucas machine, the money machine.
The Phantom Menace in 3D was a waste of money.
You saw it? You went to go see it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what was different. What was
nothing really. It was crappy 3D, and the story was just as bad. So in many ways, it was 6 times worse. You had, the 2D version, 2 times 3, 6.
So in your opinion,
as bad as the first one.
So in your opinion, do you think that instead of making the prequels, had he made the next 3 movies, or they were too old by then to do that?
I'm glad he did the prequels, but Lucas just he needed a different storyteller. He needed someone to take that translation and turn it into something that was a cinematic masterpiece. And I'm sorry, that's where Lucas failed.
But it wasn't
okay, I say this with entrepreneurs all the time when I give them advice. It's not the idea, it's the execution. The idea was great. The execution was shit.
The casting could have been better.
Well, not even the casting. Natalie Portman is an amazing actress. She just wasn't. There was no depth to her character in Star Wars.
It wasn't written.
Well, but look at Ewan McGregor, amazing actor, and he I would say the best actor in the prequels. But it wasn't the actors. It was their direction. It was
the writing too, maybe.
Everything beyond the actors.
It was almost like Lucas and James Cameron have this lately this terrible writing style, and I don't know what bit Lucas, but Indiana Jones and this really that was terrible. That was like the worst.
I didn't mind.
You liked it?
No, I didn't mind it at all.
Really?
And again, I subscribe to the alien astronauts theory, so.
Yeah, but aliens. Okay, I mean, I don't know.
I subscribe to the theory. I subscribe.
You didn't feel though like the whole getting the band back together. It just seemed like it didn't. It wasn't fun. I mean, Sean Connery is fun. This movie didn't feel fun, but.
Yeah, but Sean was dead by that point. You know, he couldn't have brought on an older indie. Sean.
His character was dead at that time.
He would have been in a wheelchair like.
He would have said Junior.
It would not have worked.
It would have been like you just would have been like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
It would have been funny, but oh cool, your answer.
I thought 4 was better than 2, personally.
Really? Really? You don't like Temple of Doom?
Temple of Doom was interesting, but it wasn't great.
Short Round? I mean. I don't know.
It wasn't great.
It's all he has is Temple of Doom and Goonies. I mean, come on.
You're funny, Dr. Jones.
Uh-oh. That wasn't me, as you can tell. So Seattle, Kirkland, I mean, there's a lot going on, like, tech-wise, right? Like, the area, I don't know, like, you have Microsoft and Google has their Kirkland office. I mean, what, do you go to San Francisco a lot? Like, tech-wise, no, it's mostly you spend your time in Seattle and you love Seattle. And
in my home office.
Your home office. And you've got into the original Starbucks, is that, and the Space Needle, and you've done all that. And like when someone comes in from out of town, tell us a little bit. So Daria, you guys did sushi, and what did you guys talk about? Just where Google Plus is going, and basically. Yeah,
we just chatted.
Chatted
I don't think we had an agenda, really.
No, never. And you worked for CNN for a little bit, or you contributed to CNN?
Yeah, I contributed. I did on CNN's live product. I ended up joining them on it was every week, and then they killed their live product, in which case it was like, not a big deal.
Yeah. And now with all the different news networks, and how do you feel the news networks are using Google Plus, like something like Sarah Hill?
They're not. But there's no need to. Google hasn't made it that essential, and it's not answering a problem that they're not addressing anywhere else. They're expecting that people are going to move to Google Plus when it's more like Blogger, when they have their own blog. It's called their website, where they serve up news and they get paid for it. Until Google gives them an opportunity
to monetize, yeah,
get paid for that attention, they're not going to pay attention to Google Plus. I keep saying it. No, I'm serious, man. There's like.
So do you think that people are definitely not wasting their time on Plus though?
No, why would you spend your time on Google Plus? Drives shit for traffic.
Right.
You're already spending all your time and attention elsewhere. What's it driving? The only reason you'd spend your time on it, and I think it's wise to spend your time on Google Plus. So don't take this as me saying you shouldn't spend your time on it. I think you should, because where Google is headed with it is more important than where it is today. And we saw bits and pieces of that with Search Plus Your World. And that is very, very, very important. So this is one of the reasons you want to spend more time cultivating and connecting on Google+. What Google needs to do at this point is, toggle that such that those who are creating content and driving value for Google+ are compensated accordingly, and they're not doing it.
They're not. All right, let's go over some of these quick. I know you talked about Pinterest. You brought it up. I know you said something interesting about Pinterest to me that it was kind of shoppy. Like, what is your a quick opinion, one sentence or two sentences about Pinterest?
I'm not the demographic. That's the sentence.
Not your demographic. Yeah.
I'm not the demographic.
Right. I know I asked you about Path as well. That's not something you're into. And I got a new investor. What about, do you think this whole Microsoft doing social, or they couldn't find the IA, like what, and you log in with your Facebook account, it's the weirdest thing. Have you looked at it?
Social?
Yeah.
You need a Facebook account in order to sign up, but that's
weird, right?
It's It's an experiment. It comes out of their labs.
Yeah, but Google's had stuff come out of its labs, like Buzz and Wave, right?
It's interesting, but beyond that...
Do you think, though, that social is supposed to be like some kind of answer to Google Plus, or not even related?
No.
No. They have something called Video Party.
No.
Which is weird.
It won't go.
No.
It won't take off.
And so
Microsoft is going to have a tougher time with social than Google will. And Google.
Yeah, but why does Microsoft need social if they own that piece of Facebook and like I don't.
They don't exactly, and that's why they're elevating Facebook over everything else.
Yeah, and
they don't need to get social. They don't.
Does Apple need to get social?
Apple will buy social.
You think so?
Apple doesn't need social to succeed. People will share their products because they're good products, not because they're Apple, but because they're good products.
Right. And so, do you think that if Apple did get social, it would be specific to the Mac or the iPad?
That I don't know. They've gone both ways with that, but like Ping FM,
yeah,
I'm sure was successful on certain levels, but look at what they did with the blogging platform and MobileMe or what do they call it? They used to call it what was it before MobileMe? It was .Mac.
.Mac.
So you could blog on a .Mac address, and you can have your own website, and that was kind of social. I believe, as odd as this sounds, if Apple made any kind of jump into this foray, I think they can and should acquire Tumblr.
Interesting. Expand on that. Like, why? Like, what is the reasoning?
Because they don't have any other product that competes, and
because there was a lot of talk about Apple buying Twitter.
But if they want, well, why would Apple buy Twitter?
I don't know.
There's no reason Apple would need to buy Twitter right now. Unless they wanted to control communications, in which case I'd be very, very frightened. I don't know. Apple just doesn't need to get social. It's easier to connect with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, although now it's just going to be Twitter. It looks like in Mountain Lion they've basically cast aside YouTube as a publishing destination for Vimeo for whatever reason. Largely
do you use Vimeo? Do you like Vimeo? I know Blip is discontinuing a bunch of stuff like Vimeo and
doesn't surprise me.
And TiVo and Boxing.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think if Apple's going to do anything with social, they're going to need to make an acquisition.
Yeah. And Google's obviously not done buying. They seem to buy something new every single month.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they bought that thing for Circles. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things that are, like, the idea that Google Plus comes out with 10 new features a week is weird or exciting or,
it's
like,
good.
what? It's good?
Platforms need to adopt a mindset like that.
And just take a risk and do it, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let me wrap up. Let me wrap up with 9 Plus, and people are like, dissing Indy. No, I love Indiana Jones. I just thought my last one was not my favorite. I was just expecting more. And are any movies you're looking forward to? The Hobbit 3D, maybe, or?
I'd probably see The Hobbit 3D if it was filmed specifically with
real 3D
technology. Yeah. But I think it's an amazing story, and Peter Jackson has shown himself to be worthy of that
genre,
story. Yeah,
fantasy,
not genre, but specifically that universe. That
universe is good, yeah. Middle Earth.
It's elusive at the moment, but it's that
hemisphere.
Yeah, that world, I guess is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think it'll make a ton of money, and people will go see it.
Of course it'll be successful. It's like the prequels for The Lord of the Rings. It'll be successful.
Without Jar Jar Binks, though.
Oh, my God.
All right, so basically the wrap-up is 9 Plus. What's your favorite part of Google Plus? Is there one thing, Hangouts, is there one thing that's your favorite part over that that comes to mind?
Probably serendipity. I've always been thrilled with serendipity.
That sounds good. That's the correct answer. What feature you'd like to mostly integrated into Google Plus?
Sponsorship or advertising revenues. I don't care what anybody says. It has to happen.
Yeah, and you think people will leave eventually if it doesn't happen?
Yes, but more people will come. For the people who leave, there are more people who will come.
Cool. That sounds like Field of the Dreams.
Despite people saying Facebook's gonna, fall flat. Oh, Facebook and privacy. I'm gonna join Diaspora. Well, that certainly went somewhere.
Doesn't it? It's basically just people like to talk. That's it. They just like to talk. I don't think.
We all believe, myself included, that our opinions are worth something. The challenge is whether you can get whether your opinions are justified or a lion's share of the culture believes the same thing. Until there's a pain point introduced by alternatives, Google Plus will continue to grow and add more, options, rightfully so. But there's no problem that it's solving that solves it any better than the way things are happening right now. Google Docs, for example, solved a problem that a lot of us had, and that is to collaborate on documents. And we could kind of do it before, but never was it easier, despite the limitations imposed on the platform, because it's very Spartan in terms of features. Not a lot there, but it works, and it works well enough. Google Plus isn't doing the same thing for the social space at all. There's what more can be done? Oh, Hangouts. Well, it's a nice little feature, but that doesn't make a network.
And you don't feel like there's this feeling that Google really deeply desires Google Plus to be to be the company.
But they want it to succeed because Facebook isn't going to give them Facebook's data. Twitter's not going to give them Twitter's data. So they want to be able to mine that social data. Why? Why? What does Google do? Google does one thing. What do they do? What do they do?
Advertise.
Right, they advertise. So to serve up better advertising, what do they need? They need more information. They need more data. Knowing that the future of advertising, word of mouth, social constructs, et cetera, what do they got to do? They got to build some kind of social platform. Duh.
Right.
So I have no problem with that. As someone who does create content to be discovered, this is part of what I do. I mean, yes, the content that I create, the advice that I give, the gigs that I might get for my online presence. I mean, this is the universe of me.
Right.
But that big part of the content production, if you're not making money from content, you're doing it on the side, and you're getting your bills paid another way, and maybe it's more catharsis. But if it becomes a moment of, well, we only have it just for catharsis, well, what's it doing differently that I can't do on WordPress.com or Blogger.com or Tumblr or Twitter or Facebook?
Yeah, but the difference here is that people it's not a crazy amount of people, but there are people here. There are people looking to interact.
Well, no one's saying not. The problem
more so than Blogger.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. This is what it boils down to. I would rather have 1,000 really engaged people than 1 million barely engaged.
1 million people that just added you because you were on the list.
Right, they add me and whatever. They don't care about me or my opinions. I would rather find the people that are really engaged, those 1,000 true fans.
Your nomies.
The nomies. Rather find them and help them do what they want to do and go out to them than have to try to chase these larger numbers. The follower count is irrelevant. Period.
It's meaningless. Yeah, I think we agree.
Absolutely meaningless. If you cannot label that number, it's worthless. So I don't care if you come to me, I got 100,000 followers on Twitter. Well, good for you. What are you doing with that?
Right.
Do they actually care what you have to share? Are you creating anything of value to them and their lives? The answer may be yes. The answer may be no.
And I think number shock, that was the big thing with Google Plus, was number shock. That most people go on Twitter, they're lucky if they get 20, 30 followers. They come on Plus, they have 100, they have 1,000. They can't believe it, and that's like a new thing for most of them.
But it's important when those numbers mean something. So one of the values that I've added for the Nomies subscription is I add them to a Nomies circle, and that's privately shared once a week to the other Nomies, and then publicly I'm aiming for once a month. Well, as soon as I do that, they get more followers, and those followers that they tend to get are also people that they're in the same group. So they have a connection. They have a connection with these individuals rather than they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're just these random people. These are people. Each of these people have personalities. They have expertise. They have a background, and that drives up the quality of participation rather than just participation outright.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people were saying Google Plus was Twitter, but the ability to do more than 140 characters at the beginning.
No.
And then no, it was that. Some people were saying that, but
no,
not at all.
Twitter is to conversation as pizza is to tennis shoe. You can't.
Right. No, I get it. You can't really say that. You can't really compare apples to oranges, and not even that close. People. There are people on Google Plus maybe that are new or that are really, you love their content, you love what's going on, and they're not getting the engagement that you wish they would. Anybody out there that, I mean, not to put you in a spot, but is there a musician, artist, or someone?
But we all have that problem, right? You can put something out there and no one's going to engage. The thing I've learned over time is the less you require the person to think, the more engaged they're going to be.
Yeah, so the whole TLDR, all people using that, which I think is annoying to even say that. You either read it or you don't. But I mean, I get the attention span on the internet. It's the same thing with videos, right?
Right.
People just see, it's visual. They see a long paragraph, they see a long video. They don't want to read it. They don't want to click on it. It's kind of like homework. It becomes like a job.
Unless they're invested in what you have to share.
Right. Unless they like you.
And even then, you have to repeat yourself.
Right. And it's interesting too. If people like who you are, sometimes they'll plus one like and comment and reshare whatever it is, even if they don't read it because they like you.
But then you set the stage, and I think that's a good thing to have because you set the stage, you set the bar at a certain level, and you say, look, here's what you like the things I do. Thank you for sharing that that with other people because you may appreciate it, but unless you tell someone else. I'm going to be limited in terms of my reach. Your reach, this is the power of social media. Your reach is greater than my reach. Your reach combined. So let me give you the tools and the constructs by which you can share, as long as you trust the stuff that I'm doing, and then everybody who falls under my filter is doing, then it becomes a huge trust circle.
Yeah. And I think the idea that this place is a place to be supportive and really be a community and really reach out and find people. And then what we've done with the Hangouts in your life, really to go out there and really it'd be cool to just hang out with you. And this whole and then once you do that, this whole platform, as cool as it is, it's like, all right, well, it seems unnatural because I've already spent a weekend or a night or whatever it was with you, and so it takes it to a different level. I know that how you feel about creepers, but yeah, it's kind of a cool experiment that we did that's been going on with all these different H.I.R.Ls all over the country, and now that you do in Scotland, and hopefully we'll do one in Seattle. That would be cool. Here, you got your green socks on. Cat, what do you like best? Cat pictures, dog pictures?
I don't know. I'm like wearing my thermal socks. I almost wear them year round. I don't know. I'm just feeling very relaxed right. Oh, I feel too relaxed.
Nice. Smell this. I can't even smell it over here.
Yeah, okay, so there's a video going around, and I don't know if it's a hoax or what, but of a photographer that basically he takes photos of farting people. It's I posted it at Google Plus. I'm like, is this for real? I'm sorry, what was the question? I went off.
I was interested in your farting video guy.
Okay.
We'll have to post that.
From the
cat pictures. I was like, do you have a preference over cat pictures, dog? Or animated GIFs probably is your favorite.
Yeah, I'm ambivalent. I don't care.
Ambivalent.
I'm ambivalent, so I don't. If it's got a funny caption, that tends to be like, that's really funny.
And so while we're on the subject, so a lot of like the What's Hot list is you're peeing on that and how it's how it's run or
no, I don't pay attention to the What's Hot list.
Do you think it was silly for them to throw that up there? Or?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I genuinely do not care.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. So, and I think it's just because.
Why?
I think that a lot of people just want to be popular.
They care about popularity. They care about popularity.
Yeah, they weren't popular in high school.
Wait, hang on. Last I checked, this was not high school.
Right.
So grow up.
Okay.
Realize that it's a lot of velocity. That could get you catapulted to a What's Hot list, but it ain't everything, dude.
Right, no, it's only a one. No, I agree.
It's fun to be there, sure.
Yeah,
but
it's fun.
Beyond that, what has it gained you? If you cannot walk into a restaurant and they shut it down because you're there, shut up. It doesn't matter. You're nobody, okay? and ain't none of us hanging out that have that power.
And so I think a lot of people do things for fun, and some people mistake fun for that popularity thing, like the Ripples.
Some people take it way too seriously.
Yeah, they think, like I remember Ripples came out, just you and Felicia Day. A lot of people just wanted to see what you guys could do with the Ripple, and not because you're like,
actually,
I'm a big.
I use that. I do when I have something. I'm like, wow, this got a lot of pickup. I wonder where the pickup came from, and I am genuinely interested in those kind of statistics. But by and large, most of the stuff that I might put out there, on Google Plus, looking at the ripples is not as interesting as really seeing who my top engagers are. And that's the one thing I wish that Google Plus would do, is tell me who my top engagers are. I can only recognize by, you can mention the name Stacey Ferris, and I would go, okay, I know what Stacey looks like, I know what he does, I know what he's interested in, I know how he connects with me, because I've seen him over and over and over and over again. And he is a real person, and he is someone who I do believe is a part of the greater part of our community. But I would look to find more people like him than the unknowns. And I think that is, if you're looking to really make an impact on Google Plus, it's less about getting on the what's hot list and always being what's hot to certain people. And for that reason, I believe it was a colossal mistake for Google Plus to institute the circles filter. I think that was a boneheaded mistake.
What do you mean circles filter specifically?
If I go to my tech bloggers circle, there's a little indicator at the top that says show everything from the stream in my stream versus.
Are you talking about the volume button? The volume.
Yeah, the volume button.
Yeah.
Whoever set that up was a dumbass. And whoever supports it is also a dumbass. I'm sorry, they're a dumbass. If you don't want to circle someone, don't circle them.
No, I hear what you're saying. The only positive thing I think that comes out of it is a lot of, we're not on our stream 24/7, so the stream always goes and we miss things.
Yeah, but how do you know? How do you know Google is making the right decision? This is my problem with Facebook.
Oh, okay.
They decide, on some arbitrary metric of what works and what doesn't. That's bullshit, dude. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's there's no way around it. I understand you want a level. You want a certain. You
don't want to miss your people that you get close with, right?
It doesn't. If you do not want to see what someone has to share,
don't circle them. Yeah.
Don't circle them.
Okay.
I think filters are bullshit because it's arbitrary, and you can't. You may have missed something that could have changed your life because you relied on some third party to decide what's right for you, and it's bullshit. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because I've had a full glass of wine.
No, you truly believe it. Hey, Vic drinks wine. You're good. I mean, the guy.
I think it was the dumbest thing that they ever put up there. Dumbest thing. Dumbest thing that Google has done with Google Plus. Dumbest.
So do you think it would be? I think one of the cool ideas that I have that I suggested was if every profile had a little thing where you could actually go to their profile and get either a digest of their daily or weekly posts or something that you really.
Right. Or say, look, I'm interested in Chris, but I only want to see anytime he has a YouTube video, I want to see it. Anytime he has something he mentions Lego, I want to see it. Or conversely, I don't want to see Chris's YouTube videos, or I don't want to see Chris's Lego posts, but it has to be automated. The way they did it now, so you've taken something that, and you've taken it to the level where it needed to go, allowing for more granular control. Because there are some people who don't want to see anything that I have to share about Lego, which hasn't been much lately. Or they may only want to see my YouTube posts. But Google Plus, with that arbitrary filter, didn't give anybody that control. So I have no idea if something was good or not good in the eyes of the people who are following me, because they may not have seen it. And I have no idea if they saw it.
You know what a lot of people did? They went and they turned all of those completely up.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
Up on all the circles.
I think it's asinine. Google has not allowed enough granular control. They can't expect people are going to tag posts or categorize them. They have not allowed enough granular control to make that filter worth having. It's too arbitrary. It was a boneheaded decision.
Yeah, and someone like me, I personally.
It could be better. It could be better.
I have like 100 circles, so I didn't go through all of them.
As it stands, though, it was
crazy.
It was a dumbass idea by someone who obviously does not fucking understand social.
So that's my big. I think the big thing with Google Plus is it seems like there is, even though they're here and they're talking to us, they're involved with us, they have user research and experience. There's something missing. It's like I know they hired Louis Gray and everything, but like I feel like there's a lot of people that use Plus that are active that have ideas about how they would like things to go down, notifications, other things, and I don't know. I don't know if that's positions that are missing or more meetings or what the deal is. I mean, what they're doing is new and great, but I mean, are we being too hard on them, or we shouldn't be too hard on them?
I think we know the product better because we're using it than someone who's actually creating the product. They haven't made the best decisions, I would say, but like in terms of notifications, the one thing that I wish I would have toggled months ago, and I finally figured it out, if you go to your profile settings, although trying to find that damn link now that they redid the nav bar, if you go to your account settings for Google Plus, and then the Google Plus settings specifically, if you take the check mark out of the box that says shares a post with me directly, the amount of junk you get in your email diminishes by like 70 to 80 to 90%. Now I only get emails when I'm tagged in a post, or if someone that I've circled has said something. Other than that, I would get notifications from just random people. I'm like, I don't know who you are. This email notification has no relevance. I have to go through. I've got right now, and last I cleared this out was a week ago, and I've got like 1,200 messages that I've got to try to look at, and I can't. I just basically have to delete them all.
So some of the settings, which specifically did you say to check?
Take the check mark out of the option that says shares a post with me directly. Take that check mark out.
Oh yeah, that's gone. The only thing that I've checked is mentions me in a post. That's the only thing I've checked there.
See, I check everything else.
No.
I like being notified when someone tags, because otherwise I wouldn't see it.
Well, mentions me in a post is tagging, right?
It mentions me in a post.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I do that one. I do tags me in a photo, shares me in a photo that I might be in.
Everything else I think is fine. It depends on how much you're...
But my Gmail is crazy. I need to organize. I mean, I don't know. I haven't organized it. The craziness of organizing the email. And so do you think the notifications should be more like a notification center, like on Google Plus, and they would use it more? Like, it needs a lot of work, maybe, the way we receive notifications, like the way we interact with them, drafts and... No,
wait, what?
Notifications in general, like when you look at your notifications on Plus, I don't know if you even do that.
I never look at notifications.
I'll look at every once in a while
to reset the counter to 0, but that's it.
Right.
I don't look. But Matthew, understand, I'm an edge case. I mean, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not.
Trey, yeah, Trey, who has like 1 million people, said he does all he does with the in his email. He has a filter, and he just looks for people that he knows that mentions him, and he responds to those people. That's basically what he was.
I can't keep up. I can't.
He tries.
I do my best, but I got enough stuff going on elsewhere. But understand, I'm a super engager. So whether it's Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, or the private no-me's conversations we might be having, I do my best to connect with everybody, but I cannot possibly.
So how many hours a day do you actually sleep? Not many, or?
No, I try to get to bed about 11 o'clock at night, right before Frasier reruns.
It used to be Seinfeld, now it's Frasier. Yeah.
I like Seinfeld and I can watch those reruns, but for some reason there's something about Frasier reruns that just unwind me.
I actually was on set with the dad. I had like a scene which got
filmed.
Yeah, and John Mahoney and me. It was an Ed Burns movie with John Leguizamo and Brittany Murphy was in it. And I forgot what it was called, but it was just like I was a beer delivery guy. I walked up and John Mahoney's like, Matthew, you're late for the beer with the beer, and I was like wheeling up a gravel driveway up this long thing. And Ed Burns was there, and Ed Burns was like, if you got a handle on that machinery, we were doing it in the Bronx. It was a cool experience a couple of years ago. And then Brittany Murphy was before she died, and she was so small and cute, and that experience was pretty cool. So, real quick, okay, you still use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, obviously, and you pretty much use do you use LinkedIn? And do you use everything?
Yes, we have the private no-me's group. I mean, honestly, I'm starting to. I mean, I spend a lot of time with everybody, but I'm spending more and more time with the people who pay me for my time rather than just giving it out for free. I mean, we're all free to do with it whatever we want. I would never walk onto anybody's job and say you're doing, you need to do your job differently. Unless they were asking for advice explicitly. I don't think it's right to expect otherwise. But I've taken to spending more time with people who value my time rather than people who don't care whether I live or die.
Oh, well, I hope you live for a long time.
I do too. I'm gunning for it, really. They say red wine is good for the heart, so
it's better than narcotic.
If I have a heart attack, I'm going to be very pissed.
I think a lot of people would. And do you have a favorite Google Plus story? Like one story that comes to mind, either when you first joined or something that was funny or bizarre?
No, I can't say that, but I'll go back to saying that Google Plus is friend feed. I mean, it's what friend feed should have been in the first place. And it really, it's friend feed. That's Google Plus, is friend feed, done right. It ain't perfect, but it's if you never used friend feed, that's where I met Lewis for the first time. It's something where you wouldn't want to sign up for it now because it's kind of coming.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, most people have heard of it, but being someone who's seen these things come and go, it's still very friend feedish. And why I enjoy it is because it reminds me of friend feed and as much fun as I had in friend feed. In fact, friend feed was probably more fun than Google Plus because there were a handful of super engagers on friend feed. In fact, I don't have a lot of circles, and one of the circles I have is a friend feed circle, and these are the people who are very, very, very amazing on friend feed. And these are the people that I like having in a circle because they get it, and they have been getting it for quite some time.
It reminds me of, like, I have a Buzz circle, and I don't know how you feel about Buzz, but when Buzz came out, I thought, because I knew I had an idea of what Google was up to, I jumped right on Buzz, and I was, like, busting my butt on Buzz.
The funny thing about Buzz, there's one thing I wish Google Plus would do, and that Buzz did very well, is reply to email. You could do that in Buzz, and you can't do that in Google Plus.
Yeah, they want you to go to the page.
What? Bobbi Joe wants you. What?
Bobbi Joe wants you're in a damn roll. No, we want you to stick around for Plus, and we took a lot of your time. I don't need to break. Oh my God, Bobbi Joe.
Well, turn it over. Whatever you need to do. Do you need me to mute it?
Oh no, you're good right now.
Hang on.
People want to hang out. Do you need to get up and pee? Hey, baby.
No, hey.
I was just helping you. So she
don't
can
need
hear.
help. She's baby to me, not to you.
It's just
nobody puts baby in a corner.
It's just that we have some new viewers tonight, and they want to hang out with Chris. So
they want to hang out with me.
They love you.
We just want 20 more minutes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just wanted to wrap this up, but the thing is, Chris, it's another hangout we have to start. It's not the same.
We have to start another hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought Matt ran all this.
No, actually, I understand why you need to restart it. So, I can rejoin you.
Okay, real quick before. Does your girlfriend want to say hi? I did meet her. Or do you want to just come?
You want to say hi, Diana?
Oh yeah, hi.
Here.
Hey, Diane. We didn't get to play with Legos. Diane, do you have any Legos around? We'd love to play with some Legos.
Yeah, there's tons where I'm sitting.
Cool.
Yeah, we have Legos.
I would love for you to break out the Legos in the next portion. We could just have them.
Oh my God.
You playing with Legos.
I wish I had tons of time, but I don't know how much time.
I know. Okay, so real quick, one more +2, +3, or +4, and then we'll go away.
Which number? Between 2 or 3?
No, 4 was the right answer. Do you Star Wars moments, or I was going to choose a different one. Like, do you have some dressed up as Star Wars characters, or like what are some of your favorite Star Wars?
Yeah, my Stormtrooper videos are on YouTube.
But what about as a kid or Halloween or?
I always dressed up as Han Solo because it was easy. A white shirt and a vest, and I was Han Solo.
You're always.
That's okay. My brother. One of my brothers was Lando Calrissian.
One of your brothers?
Don't ask me how he pulled that one off.
He was a brother, right? He was one of your brothers.
No, he was my blood brother. And we were definitely not looking like we came from Lando's clan.
Oh man, the way he betrayed you. I'm sorry that your brother had to betray you like that. That's crappy. Well, thank you, Chris. I mean, it's been fun. It's been great. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I loved the rants that you went on. We actually have Mohammed Mansour. You've met him before, right? He's going to jump on tomorrow.
I think so.
And talk about, he made my Hangout extension and a couple other extensions. Cool. So thanks, Chris, and we'll be doing Conversations Plus in about 5 minutes or 10. If you have any questions, you want to join the Conversations Plus, let Bobby Joe know, and we'll get you in here, and you could ask Chris the questions that I didn't ask him, that I seem to miss. And next week we'll hopefully have Paul Rustan, who's going to do body painting. There'll be a naked female on camera, and he will body paint her. So, and that's doable. That's allowable.
Wait, we're doing the body painting thing after
No, that's next week. You're like,
come on!
I'm sorry, but your girlfriend's there. You don't really need that, right? That's probably not a good thing. Anyway, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that next week. I'll let you in. And Chris Pirillo wants to see your work, Paul Rustan.
Yeah,
No, but it's art. It's all about art. It's art.
Find yourself something to eat by yourself.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and stay tuned for Conversations Plus. I have to end the broadcast. Chris Pirillo is saying, "What you want from my life?"
Yeah, it's a great show. Thank you.
Over
and out, Matt.
Damn, baby.
Over now. We need a theme.